Okay, so in April of 2003, I came to Exodus as a homeless man. I had been on the streets through drugs and alcohol in Gastonia for 4 or 5 years. I was a school teacher, and my son was shot and killed uh, back in, I think, 92, and he was 14 years old. That was very devastating for me, and I think that was what kind of pushed me over the edge because I was a recreational user at the time. And then it began to progress, and it got, worse and worse, and that was the beginning of a spiritual death for me because as soon as I did it, I became addicted. And being a school teacher, it was real difficult to try to hide it. So I eventually uh, stopped teaching and just went to the street. Now here I am, a college educated man, school teacher, well-known coach in the community, strung out on drugs and living on the streets and in and out of the Salvation Army in Gastonia. And Exodus picked me up at the bus station. Now, I'm praying that I'm clean because I know I got to take a drug test when I get there. And I take the drug test and I failed it. And man, that was devastating. And so I went, they sent me to the Salvation Army right down there on the North Rhine Boulevard. And as soon as I got there, I looked around and I said, hey, this ain't what I want. I woke up that next morning, I walked right back up to Exodus and I sat on the doorstep. And they came out and they were looking at me like, what are you doing here? You can't come here. I said, I'm not going back to the street. I'm gonna stay right here till I can pass that drug test. And they thought I was joking. So I did that for 11 days, 11 days straight. On about that 11th day, Reverend Longcar came out. He said, man, you ready? I said, yes, sir. He said, you think you can pass the drug test? I said, yes, sir. And I passed that drug test and I got in that program and I didn't look back. And so Exodus, being the type of people they are, they find out what your skill is. And when you get some clean time underneath you, they start pushing you out into the community. And I eventually started my own mentoring program, nonprofit called Young Men of Integrity. But I started out with 5 kids down here in Hippie Public Housing. And I ended up, it, it, it's, I, it just blew up. And I ended up with like 28 kids. Having my son shot and killed and having everything replaced and even more was such a blessing to me because not only now that I have a daughter that's the baby I got to help raise, but I had all these students who were my kids and I was helping raise them. And so I found out what my purpose was in life, and my purpose was to speak life into young folk and to help develop them into young adults. And once they become young adults, place them in society so they can become productive citizens. And that was my purpose in life. And so Exodus gave me an opportunity when no one else would, but I was dead, old dried up bones, and they breathed life back into me. And when they did, man, I was so grateful to them, uh, and it just propelled me to heights that I never thought I would go to. And it all started right here at Exodus.